or kind of at the federal level, there's two things that are being done to address the issue of housing. The first thing is addressing the stock issue. Right now, there's simply just not enough homes. Also, I should double check earlier. Did everyone get our one-sheeter, our fact sheeter? That will have a list of things that are being done. Oh, you didn't get it? Okay. Okay, we'll make sure you get it at the front desk. It has a list of things that are being done at the federal level to address home ownership. And kind of one of the main issues is the lack in stock of available homes. So in May of 2020, the Biden administration, through the Housing and Urban Development, they initiated the Housing Action Plan. That was a number of different initiatives to increase housing stock, including there can be a lot of issues local municipalities. Every state, every city has different laws. So one of the things that Action Housing Plan plans to do is to give tax credits to states and cities who kind of cut through that red tape, that things like zoning laws that basically make it easier to build more homes. And I do have to tell you folks, it's a very, we'll say, interesting time politically. There's a lot of gridlock in Washington, so a lot of things that have to be done through these programs. And there's kind of a lot going on. There's a lot happening kind of like as time goes by. It's kind of effort changeably. I don't know how many folks watch the State of the Union. Okay, fantastic. I don't blame most of there. So during the State of the Union, President Biden announced proposed legislation. Again, it was proposed, and the summer we're talking about here and today to kind of do what we like to call positive accountability, where this is a very good thing to make sure we do whatever we can as to make sure it happens by kind of pushing our legislators. President Biden proposed $10,000 in federal money for folks who are first-time home buyers. So that'd be a mortgage tax credit. You can get 2-year increments, $5,000 a year that go to home buyers. That and it kind of varies from state. Here locally, we have a great program, Homes Possible, that a very special guest that we get into very shortly. Also, recently, this past week, there are some announcements through the Biden administration, kind of in regards to housing. I'll read out some of the things that were proposed. I believe it was announced by Vice President Harris, I believe the 17th. Again, there's a lot happening, a lot of breaking news. So they just announced a proposed plan for housing. So in total, it'll be about $5.5 billion distributed to HUD. That would do several different things. Each state would get $214 million to go towards making housing more affordable and safe, and go towards safe housing. $1.3 billion to 668 grantees to build affordable housing through the already existing Home Invested Partnership Program that helps provide housing for folks. Again, that's in addition to things that are already being done, like the Housing Action Plan, like the proposed renter bill of rights that the administration is proposing. So there's a number of things happening at the federal level. Unfortunately, due to a lot of the gridlock in Washington, those are still being proposed, or there has to be kind of lesser measures done through housing urban development. So that's why a little bit later we'll talk about positive accountability and see if we can push our legislators to make sure that happens as we get more people into homes. So next we're going to talk about, so next we're going to talk about kind of happening at the state level. There's a great program here called Home is Possible that helps folks out, first-time buyers, helps out teachers. It's a wonderful program. I was kind of actually a little surprised to hear about myself as someone who works in housing. It's an amazing program. We have a very special guest here that I'm introduce now to talk more about it. Rhonda Tolbert from that housing about how the Home is Possible program. Rhonda, come up here. Let's get over, Rhonda.
All right.
Rhonda, thank you so much for being here. Real quick, you just tell the folks here about the Home is Possible program.
Okay, sure, most definitely. So again, I'm Rhonda Tolbert. I'm with the Nevada Housing Division. And in our division, we do have several different aspects. So we have our manufactured housing. We also have our low-income housing tax credit, where they kind of monitor and maintain the low-income rental properties. And then we have our Nevada search, housingsearch.org, and that helps people who are looking to rent for affordable rental locations. But me specifically, what I do is I go around and I tell people about the Home is Possible down payment assistance program. What we do is we provide funds for people that will cover your down payment as well as your closing costs when you're purchasing a home.
I identify
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Guys, how long have you working with, Nevada Housing Division?
I've been with the state for 9 years. This is my 10th year, and I've been with the housing division for 2 of those years.
Okay. Can I ask you, like, what's kind of like the, oh, Rhea, I'm so sorry, thank you for coming. We'll be taking questions, a little later in the program. Can I ask you, like, what's kind of like the biggest misconception folks have about housing here in Nevada, first-time home buyers?
I think that the first-time home buyers believe that it's not possible, and it really is actually possible. I'm so excited. I didn't bring any audio-visual stuff, but I do have a little clip I want to play. I don't know if any of you saw when Biden was here not too long ago, and I'm very proud of this whole story. There was a family that my boss had called and he says, Ron, I need some testimonials. And I was like, okay, I'll reach out to some of my lenders. What we do is we work with lenders, and the lenders, our programs are lender driven. So when you reach out to the lender will talk to you about housing affordability and whether or not our program will suit you, because there's other programs available. So they won't pigeonhole you into ours. What they'll do is find out if ours would be the most, makes the most sense for you. So I had a family, her name is Lucretia, and she bought a townhouse, and she's my own personal success story. I know you probably can't see that. I probably could have connected to the TV, but I didn't need to do that. But anyway, Lucretia, she is a single parent, and she's a first-time home buyer, first-generation homeowner. So that means that her parents and her grandparents all came up through like Section 8 and public housing. But she came here, just like you were talking about, thinking about, I can possibly do something better with my life in Nevada. So she came out here, and she was with our Section 8, and through the program they have there, it's a self-sufficiency program. She had found out about the funds that the Biden administration had made available, which was called Home First. And through those funds, it was $15,000. She went through a credit counseling class. She got her credit where it needed to be. She worked with one of our Home as Possible lenders, and then they were able to get her into a home that's affordable and sustainable within her price point. And because of that testimony, the White House chose her story to highlight it so that people could see that home ownership in Nevada is possible. I know that we talked about there's inventory issues and the housing prices, but there are still areas in town where you can purchase homes, where we can give you the funding to get into those homes, and that mortgage note will be affordable and sustainable for you.
Now, I feel the housing market is always like ever changing. Kind of someone who works in this field, like, what's your opinion of like the current Nevada housing market?
Well, it is challenging right now because of all of the advance and the growth within the Nevada footprint. I mean, we have the Oakland A's coming, we have LeBron trying to get a basketball team here, the Raiders are doing fairly well, then our Knights are doing exceptionally well, the Aces are doing exceptionally well. Those type of things bring people here, and the way that the casino industry looks at it is the fact that people come here to see those teams play against their team, but then also take advantage of the fact that they can gamble and go to shows. So this is a destination for people to come and enjoy sports and entertainment. You know, we are the entertainment capital of the world. So I think that it is getting challenging. Don't listen to the news and the media that makes you think that there's nothing out there. There is inventory out there. You want to get a lender that has the ability to be creative and help you find something. It might be a fixer-upper, it might be something you might have to put a little sweat equity in. But as you were saying, home ownership does provide security because of renting, energy matches energy. So you'll have 30 days to be homeless. Whereas when you buy a house, there's security in that, because after all you go through to get that house, they don't want it back. So they're willing to work with you and to navigate. And then we also have plans and programs in place that will help you if you find yourself getting behind or getting in the woods with your home. If so, because life starts lifing, right? And so with that, we have programs in place because we don't want the loans that we have people take to be considered not good loans. So we have that financial backing through the government to help you maintain that and get into the woods, get you some assistance really, really quickly.
Now, I feel there's a sense out here for a lot of younger folks, for people who maybe they never own a home, maybe the family come to home, they might be a first-time home buyer, maybe like the first in the family trying to buy a home. Where do folks kind of start if they're like, I don't even know where to begin with buying a house? Like, what can they do like the very beginning they kind of don't know the landscape, like what's the first thing
Yeah.
you do?
So the first thing you wanna do is definitely come to one of our homebuyer, classes. We call them homebuyer sessions, because you are educated people. So we're not really educating you on anything. What we're doing is just making you aware of some, programs and services that are available to you. We also wanna change the verbiage and how we approach you when we're talking about homeownership. We're trying to change that word counseling, because counseling has a negative connotation to it as well. It's basically just trying to leverage your credit to make it more convenient for you. So when you come to our home buyer workshops, we have a lender that's there, and I also bring a real estate agent with me. And what we do is we talk about the programs, because I want to go into those details with you on the programs too. But when you come to our classes, our lenders talk to you about what they're looking for, as far as your credit is concerned, and then the real estate agent is telling you what's happening in the market out here to kind of negate some of the things that's happening on media. Because media is going to make it salacious and really, really good to keep you focused. But the reality of it is that there is price points out there that you can find that are affordable and sustainable. Lucretia is a healthcare worker, and so her home was like $230,000. That's reasonable. It's affordable, and it's sustainable for a single parent. She could still go out to eat, she could still travel if she wanted to with that kind of a house price. So we want you to leverage that and think about how it helps you to have a home. A lot of people don't realize when we say equity, when we talk about equity, that's like a savings account. That's like money in the bank for you. Because any little thing you do to your house is going to improve or increase your home's value. And so as you do that, that's just money in the bank. And then what you want to do is you can use that, you can leverage those funds to do other things. You can leverage those funds to get a franchise. You can leverage those funds to do a debt consolidation, or leverage those funds for things you want to do for your children. So that's what we mean when we say generational wealth. So we want to make sure that people come to our classes, and then in our class we have a dialogue. We go back and forth and ask questions, ask you questions about, how do you feel about homeownership. We want to ease the angst and the anxiety of looking for a home, because it's a lot, right? You feel like, your credit, they're looking at your credit, they're very invasive, but we want to ease that anxiety and just make it more conversational in a back and forth situation.
Now, you mentioned that people kind of feel like anxious. Do you think that's something out there? Like maybe folks are either intimidated or they're scared, or they kind of see the media and kind of what's going on?
Yeah, I think a lot of it comes from the media. I think when people hear interest rates and they hear the housing prices are so high and things of that nature. But as far as the interest rates are concerned, the interest rates today are really not that far off from where they used to be prior to 2007. It's just that when the world went upside down, and then you have those 2% and 3%, which are not gonna be coming back anytime. I had one of my lenders said ever, and I was like, don't say ever, and she said Rhonda ever, and that could never come back. And then people like me are part of the problem when I have to sit with a 2% interest rate in my house, because I ain't never leaving. But if I had known it was gonna be nothing else out there, I probably would have, looked a little bit longer to find something bigger. But you can't, even with the interest rate, and we used to say, and it became really like a cliche thing, because everybody was saying it at one point, that you date the rate and you marry the house. But that's true, because the rates are gonna change, and they will eventually level off, and when they do, then you refinance your home, bring down that mortgage payment even further, and then continue to build your equity in that. Yeah, so I think it's the media that's really driving a lot of the anxiety in the market.
I would like to talk more like getting prepared to buy a home. And I know one of the requirements for the Homes Pulse program is a 6-score credit score, is that correct?
Yeah, and I try to get people to fixate on it. So our program has a 640 FICO requirement, but to buy a house, you really only need a 580. A lot of people don't realize that you don't need to be in the 600s to purchase a home. So you can buy a house with less than stellar credit. FHA is an amazing government program, but conventional is giving them a run for their money too. FHA, you just need 3.5%, conventional 3%. So for your down payment. And then we're giving you that to get into your house. So that's another thing where we want to ease that level of anxiety, because we're giving you the money to get in the house. So when you go in knowing I got some money in my pocket, it makes that negotiating aspect of it a little bit more palatable. So that's what we're doing.
Kind of talking to folks, kind of the way folks are living is kind of changing. You see a lot of multi-generational families. Is there anything different folks could do, like say if they have multi-generations living in a home, does that impact them trying to buy a house, or is any way that can maybe potentially be helpful for folks?
It is helpful. We do have a lot of other communities that buy homes together, and then once they get into the house, the other people in the home go buy their house. They kind of help each other level up to the next portion of it. I know in the African American community that's foreign to us because we're not used to doing that, right? We don't want to live with a whole bunch of people, but it does help for those communities and nationalities that have 3 or 4 generations in the home, and then they get to a point where they have enough equity, then they can use that equity to help their children buy something and make it affordable for them. So I think that with anything, there's always strength in numbers, and when you have more people in the home helping you buy the home, it just makes it easier for everyone else. It makes it easier.
Absolutely. You mentioned like Latino community, African American community. It's a very interesting dynamic when I was researching the event that homeownership on Latinos is actually up, and part of the reason is the multi-generational. Yes, it's very interesting. I was kind of surprised by that. But for the African American community, it's actually down. I believe the statistics are for every 10 African Americans, only 2 live at home. What specific issues do you think has caused that?
Discrimination. We don't have all of discrimination in the mortgage industry. We don't have multiple families.
Exactly. Yes, we don't
We
do
don't
that.
come together and help that person. We all individual.
Right, and there was something mentioned too that we do have to address too, with discrimination in housing. And I'm a part of different organizations that are definitely advocating for democracy in housing. But also too, a lot of it is our community, what we've been running reports on this for the last 6 months, trying to find where this imbalance is coming from. And one of the things we noticed too is that we're not marking the boxes because of the historical damages that it's done for us. So on the box when it says what nationality you are, we always other, or we'll skip it. And so that too skews the numbers, because there probably are more African American homeowners that just don't want to mark the box, and that's because they feel like they may be discriminated against in the lending process. Just like when I bought, even me, when I bought sold my townhouse to buy a single family home, I took anything out of the house that would have made it appear as if there was somebody African American. My real estate agent thought I was crazy, and I'm like, no, this is what we do. Because I'm from Michigan, I'm from Detroit, so I'm like, no, that's what we do.
All over the world.
So, you know, and I felt like, you know, he was like, no, I think we should leave it because it's so nice. And I was like, no, I'm just gonna take these pictures down, and then I put up some artwork and made it a little more neutral and stuff. And I know that it's sad that we have to do that, but those are some of the things, again, that are working against us in the whole industry of real estate. However, I feel that, like I said, a lot of African American people are not marking the box, and so there's probably more numbers, a higher number than what we see. But my goal too, and the reason that I am in this position in the Nevada Housing Division, is to specifically talk to the Black and Brown community, because we're finding that we're not using these funds, we're not taking advantage of the benefits that are available to us. So when we run numbers and I see other nationalities are using this program more than we are, and I'm in the streets. All my lenders and everybody in the community is laughing at me because they're like, Ronnie, you be everywhere. And I'm like, yes, because I'm telling people don't get this money. Yes, and I want you guys to know that this money is here available to you. The programs have changed because the industry has changed itself. But I do want to talk about the programs really quickly. So, before we lose anyone. Right now, we have 3 different programs that are in place. The one that you talked about is coming for us. We haven't got that into the system yet. But we do have a teachers program, and that gives our teachers and our educators $7,500 to use towards down payment and closing. Do we have any educators in here? Okay, perfect. So for our educators, we have the teachers program. We also have what we call the first-time homebuyers program. Now, let me go back to the teachers program real quick so I don't forget anything. The teachers program, the max income limit on that is $160,000. We set the bar really high because we want as many people as possible to be able to reach that goal. They must be a licensed teacher teaching K through 12 school, and they can teach at a virtual academy, a charter school, a magnet school. So we try to cover all those bases. What it cannot be is you cannot be a principal or you can't even be like a substitute teacher or a licensed K through 12 teacher. The other program we have for the first-time homebuyers. Now that one, the income varies by county. Okay, so for Clark County, those limits just went up. It's a little bit over $90,000 a month. I mean, $90,000 a year. So again, the bar is set relatively high, you know. So for the first-time homebuyers program, and what we mean by first-time homebuyer is that you cannot have owned a home within the past 3 years or had ownership interest. So if somebody deeded a property to you that passed away, that would make you a homeowner. So in that respect, we wouldn't be able to use that program. That would be the first-time homebuyer program. Now we did implement another program though, called the Home is Possible DPA. On that program, we give you either 3 or 5% that you can use towards your down payment and closing costs. So 5%, if I already told you that, you know, conventional is 3.5 and the FHA is 3%, that leaves you 2% for your closing costs. So that's a substantial amount of money. So with that program, we also set the bar high at 160 for the income, so a lot of people can get access to it. What I love about our newest program, the Home is Possible DPA, that program does not have a first-time homebuyer requirement. So if somebody deeded a property to you in Wisconsin and you know you're gonna move to Wisconsin, on the first-time homebuyer program, that wipes you out. But on the new HIP DPA, you can still buy a house with that home in another state, have that home be rented out and use that income as, you know, income towards your house for your home here. As long as your home here is your primary residence and that you live and work in Nevada, because we want you to have, you know, some skin in the game here in Nevada. So those 3 programs are really good. And the lenders that we have, like I said before, they know that they can get you into those programs. And you can layer our program with other programs. So there's a program out there called Wish and Culinary. You can layer our programs with those so that the lender will put, as long as we always have to be in second position. But Wish is very generous, they'll go into third position. And they give you up to like $20,000 or more. I think they just recently increased theirs too. So when you talk to our lenders again, they won't pigeonhole you into our program. They'll see what else is out there and what makes sense. However, if they find that our program works best for you, then they'll do whatever they can to get you, you know, set up for it. They'll do credit counseling. They'll tell you what to pay. Because remember, a FICO score is an algorithm. There's certain things you can do to manipulate it to get it to where you need it to be. So what we tell people is don't touch anything. Like, you know how you guys, I don't know if you guys had a mom like me, before we even got to the store, it was like, don't touch nothing, don't ask for nothing. If you ask for something, you're getting popped as soon as you left the store. So there's that. And moms was always, they always was on their word, because, you know, you thought, oh, she probably forgot. And next thing you know, pop, and you're like, what I do? So that part. So don't touch anything, don't pay anything, don't close anything. Don't do anything with your credit until after you've spoken with the lender. And look at your credit every now and again. I look at mine like maybe once every 2 months. I have some lenders that are like, I look at mine every month. It's annualcreditreport.com. Annualcreditreport.com. It gives you a list that shows you what's going on with your credit. Print it, take it with you when you talk to your lender, so that they can see what you're doing. And then they can say, oh, well, we need to do this, we need to tweak this to get your credit to here or to there. Okay? But annualcreditreport.com, it's not going to give you your FICO, but what it will give you is the ability to take a look at your credit report to make sure there's no shenanigans. Make sure that nobody's, you know, opened something with your name that you're not aware of or something like that. So we're really big on annualcreditreport.com. It's free, and we try to keep people away from like the Credit Karmas, because Credit Karma, although it's really a good site, nothing against Credit Karma. But they use their third-party engine to reach out to you and make offers to you. They sell your data. And if you're buying a house, the last thing you want is strangers looking at your stuff. So that's why we kind of want you to stay away from the Credit Karmas. If you're going to use any kind of system like that, go with the ones with your credit card, you know, or Experian, or directly with the credit reporting agencies. Go directly with those, because then you know there's no shenanigans. But Credit Karma sells your data, so be very careful there. Okay.
Jane did that.
But it is good, it's a Vantage,
Okay.
and it's a Vantage score, which is different. Credit Karma might have you thinking, okay, I'm gonna give me a Mercedes. And you pull up and say, no, we get you a Toyota, or we get you a Honda. But it's still good to look at, cause it kinda gives you the barometer of where you are. But we just don't, just be mindful that they sell your data, and that's why we have offers and stuff on there for that.
I think you bring a great point here. Unfortunately, there are a lot of scams out there. There are a lot of people who are looking to take advantage of folks who are looking to buy a home, who maybe aren't as knowledgeable. How do folks look out for these scams, make sure that they're not being scammed?
I think that the best thing you can do, especially when it comes to your credit, is always go, like, if somebody's making you an offer, look at the offer, read the fine print. I try not to take advantage of it, because if it's too good to be true, it really is. So I try to look at the fine print on things and read it, and I mean, you know, I try to. I think that we're such an automated society that we just click, and that's what ends up getting in trouble. Sometimes you might need to pick up the phone and say, you know, hey, I got this, or this is what's happening, or you can talk to the lender about some of those things too. So, yeah, we just wanna make sure that people are mindful of the scams that can be out there, so you make a good point of that.
Something I kind of returned to, you briefly touched on, was that a lot of folks don't know about these programs. I have to admit too, like, I kind of doing this as a job of working housing, I did this program. Our comms director, Jared, mentioned that he had some personal experience with it, and they kind of brought it to my attention. Do you?
I benefited from it. I use the Homeless Possible program.
Yay.
Like, that's how I got my house, so.
Yeah. Yay, how long ago was it?
2017.
Nice. So was it the 3, 5, or which one?
We got the 4%.
Okay.
Yeah, but
Oh,
yeah.
that's the first time home buyer one.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
But I wouldn't have been able to buy a house otherwise. And I did get very lucky because interest rates were in a pretty good place then, but like they got even better in 21. But like, to her point, you know, your home, talking about equity, it is a savings account. Like, and when 2021 rolled around, like, you know, I had saved quite a bit of money because we weren't going anywhere from the pandemic. And I, you know, like wanted to make some home improvements, and we had built enough equity in our home by that point, and it made sense to refinance for a lower interest rate. So we did, pulled a little bit of money out, and were able to, you know, redo like our bathroom and make some other home repairs that we needed. Because the home that I bought was built in '73. So, you know, another one of those things, like I've been putting some sweat equity into it, so to speak. But without a first-time homebuyer program like the Homeless Possible program, I would not have been buying a house. Like,
And
but
it's, yeah, it's nice that you were able to use that equity
Mhm.
right away too. That's really good.
Yeah.
And that's why I tell people that equity is nice. When you
yeah,
tap
and it
into
builds fast. It builds fast. So like 4 years after we bought our home, we were able to refinance and get into a conventional loan instead of because we built up enough equity by that point. So I mean, yeah, like when you buy a house, it is like it starts to accumulate that wealth quickly.
Yeah, and when he's talking about that conventional product, everybody, so, because conventional is nice. What's nice about conventional loans is you can take out that mortgage insurance premium, which will reduce your monthly mortgage, maybe about $300 to $500,
Yeah.
depending on the cost of the insurance. And so when your home has 80% of value up to it, that's when they go ahead and take it off, which is nice. FHA doesn't do that. They have a program similar to it. With FHA, you can have the mortgage insurance taken off, but it would be, you would have to put 10% down. And with your 10% down, they would let you take it off after like 11 years or something like that. So you can talk to a lender about those differences. With our program, you also have the ability to buy a new build. So I don't wanna leave them out because
Oh yeah.
the new homes, we really can't beat their interest rates. They have lower interest rates. They pay all of your closing costs. But when you're using us, you're gonna use our interest rate, and then we're gonna give you that down payment. Because if you go through the builder, they're gonna require you to come up with that 3% or 3.5% down. Whereas if you're coming through us, we're gonna pay that down payment for you and give you money for your closing costs. So that's the only difference. So you can purchase a new build. I don't want people to think that they're relegated to a home that's already existing. You can get a brand new build home. It just has to be 45 days out from being completed. And so with that timeline, that gives people the opportunity, because they have better, not better, but they have the upgraded, you know, countertops. They have the stainless steel refrigerator years ago when I bought my first house, I had to go to JCPenney's and get in debt with that. I don't know if people remember JCPenney's. Everybody went to JCPenney's to get their curtains, cause it's like, you get the little custom curtains and stuff. So yeah, you know, but now you don't have to do that because the new homes, they have that, you know, for you. You know, but what the beauty of having a home that you put some sweat equity in is that you make it your own. You do those things that you like, and it's gonna increase in value. It's gonna increase in value.
I bought a new build and I loved it. It was, I didn't have to, I kept fighting in the market, not getting a house, getting outbid, and I didn't have to fight with getting a new build. I got to pick the home, I got to pick what I wanted in the home, it was the way I wanted it, and they covered my closing costs.
That's awesome.
I also purchased a new build in the community about a year and a half ago, off Rancho, so I'm in the neighborhood. And I use the Home is Possible as well, so it really works, it works. And the equity for the new builds as well, it's great. We bought at 307 and they're selling our same units still, because they're still developing, 356, and so the
Yeah.
equities in about 18 months is crazy.
Yeah.
So it works.
That's awesome. Yeah, there's.
What do you mean, like a new build?
A home that's a newly constructed home.
Oh.
A newly built home, so you're the first person to live in it. Some of them have, you know, the resales, but for the most part, we're talking about ones that are constructed for you. So you can buy a house that way.
I see folks are ready for questions, we want to open the floor up for questions. Real quick, we were kind of talking about things that we do on the federal level, and the state level to kind of make home ownership available to folks. For someone who works in this field, what do you think, what policies need to be done? How do you think we can best tackle this problem? It's kind of multifaceted. There's so many different ways to approach it, so many issues kind of impact it. What do you think are kind of main policies that need to be implemented to home ownership?
Well, we're still, you know, keep in mind that there's still systems in place that are keeping renters accountable for the things that they do. So don't feel like that system is working against anybody, because it's not. I think the more people that we have in the industry that looks like us, that helps a lot. Representation matters. We hear that a lot in our community. So if you have renters and realtors that look like us, and then support those organizations that are out there that are fighting for democracy and housing. I belong to a National Association of Real Estate Brokers, they're realtors for African Americans and for people of color, and they fight for democracy and housing. So, you know, support those organizations, and those organizations have events. You can go to those people that are advocating for us to have access to housing that's affordable and sustainable. So yeah, I think those organizations, supporting those organizations is good too.
Absolutely. Now I want to open the question, but real quick before we open it up, if I can great hand applause here for Rhonda here. Thank you so much for being here. All right, so we'd like to open up for questions here. So let's kind of start out. You want to kind of kick it up? So you want to kick us off here?
I'd like to know, how could I get, an appointment for a counseling with your group?
So for us, what we do is we spread the word. We're not lenders, so what we do is we would refer you to one of our Home is Possible lenders. And so you can talk to me, you can call me about the programs, because for some reason people get us confused with other DPA systems, and they'll say, oh, Home is Possible not money. We've never run out of money. We have money coming from different sources. We have bond groups, which are investors. We also have government funds. What happens is the government will give us some money and say you have X amount of time to get this money spent. So those programs end, but we still have money in other programs available. So programs never end. But you can always go to our website, which is Home is Possible, or you can just put HIP.NB. N is in Nancy, so HIPNB.org. So HIPNB.org is our telephone page. So I'm 702-486-5946. And I have my card electronically. So do we have one in the back and then we'll come in?
Yes, my name is Danielle, I'm a realtor, but I think this is super cool. Thank you guys for having this here together, and I just wanna let you guys know, coming from someone that is first generation. I'm also undocumented, born in Jamaica.
Wow.
First person to go to college, buy a home, with my husband. Home ownership exists in his household, is in his, family, but also he was the youngest to do it. We were 27, 28. And like I said, we live in the community down the street. But I also became a realtor shortly after purchasing my home in 2022 because I want to give people like me and others, young folks, everyone, the opportunity to own a home and, you know, have resources for ourselves and to pass down to our family. So thank you for coming out and
See,
and
that
giving us the
qualifies my
information.
statement, right? That qualifies-
Absolutely,
If there's more of us
absolutely.
doing it, then more of us will.
Yes, I think it's very important to have people that look like us to help navigate the, because, you know, it's a lot of first time and a lot of maybe language we don't know, we're in rooms that we're not familiar with, and we can't necessarily talk to our friends or our family because we're the first to do it a lot of times. So I think it's very imperative to meet people and work with people that look like us, that are informed and have gone through the process. So,
Thank you so much for sharing your story.
Yeah.
Great, yeah.
Real quick, I'll get this question for you, but can I ask you,
Yeah.
for someone, like you say, your first generation home buyer,
Yeah.
Immigrant, undocumented,
Yeah.
like how did you feel like going through that process? Did you feel like, did it feel daunting? Did it feel?
It felt a little daunting, but I had a really good realtor, which is now my mentor as well. I felt good about it and I felt empowered to educate myself, find the information and work with my realtor, work with my lender, and they were great, and I wanted to replicate that experience for lots of other people, and I'm working with 2 first-time home buyers now that I have in the pipeline closing next month actually.
Yay.
So I'm very excited, and it's a great program that works well, and I came out of pocket very, very minimal. I actually got a little bit of money back at the closing table, but
Yeah.
more details for later.
Yeah.
But yes, it's great and it works, and it really works.
I want to add something to your story. Like we say in Spanish, si se puede.
We can, yes, we can.
My question is like, you run out of money, government money, which is federal. How often do they give you that money?
So we don't run out of it, the program ends. And so we have different programs, and they give us, periodically, they'll give us money like once or twice, every couple of years or something like that. There isn't any set standard for it, you know, on how they decide to give us money. They had given us money from the American Rescue Plan Act. Most people here knows that as Home in Nevada too. So those funds, they give it to us, and then I have a counterpart in rural Nevada, his name is Kevin, and so rural still has funds. So there's a deadline where we have to get that money out, and rural has increased theirs to 35,000. And so there's pockets within the Las Vegas footprint of rural. People think rural, they think Nye, they think Vermont, they think way out. But there are pockets here that are considered rural too. So when we talked to Kevin, he gives his money, but he has until December 31st of this year to get rid of that money. And those programs are fully forgivable. So Home First, and I forget what theirs is called. We don't need to rename theirs, but that one, it goes away after December 31st, 2026. And let me talk about that. Let me address that real quick. When we give you guys money, we give it to you, and then we also give it to you in the form of a second mortgage. So we have to secure our interest in you staying in the home, okay? And that's why we have skin in the game. So we give that to you in a second. And what that means is that you have your first mortgage, which is your 30-year fixed, and then you have us sitting back here silently. We're not charging you interest. There's no payments to be made. It's just sitting there, just making sure that there's no shenanigans. Okay? So we give that money to you. You can refinance the home, and if you refinance the home, you pay us back what we gave you, and then you can do whatever you want to do. Now, I know that this is a little bit, I can't think of the word, I'm probably favored because I work for the company, or I work for the state. I really don't mind the second mortgage, and let me explain why. So, when I bought my house, I didn't use the down payment program because I had a house that I sold and I bought a different house. But when I bought my house, 20 minutes later, somebody knocked on my door, asking me if I wanted to put solar on my house. Okay, solar is a lien against your home.
Jeez.
And people who put liens on your houses can take them. They can take your house. So what's nice about having us in second position is there are no shenanigans over that. Because, right, because most people don't wanna go in third position, because they know they may never get paid. So with us being in second position, it's kind of a protection, especially for our first time home buyers. Because there's so much more that you need to know. Once you become savvy in the industry, you'll know, oh, I bought a house, let me go homestead it. When you homestead your house, you keep contractors and people from taking your home. And the Lerner and Rose of the world, you know? So, that's why I'm a fan of our down payment programs, and I'm a fan of the second, because it keeps you cushioned from doing some things that you weren't aware that you shouldn't do. Solar sounds fun, but having a lien on your house, it's not fun having other people.
I didn't understand, they can take a house for putting solar or what else? I didn't know.
No, when you have a lien on your house, it's like somebody having access to your home, and if you don't pay them their money back, then they can try to make attempts to take your home away.
The whole house, and I give you the money, like.
Right.
It takes all of,
Like,
over
yeah.
200,000.
That's why I said, that's why I
If
said.
you owe them only 10, you can snatch the whole house off?
Yes.
Oh, no, baby, they ain't doing it.
Right, so that's why I say think of your home as a savings account, because everybody wants a little access to that money that you got. You got $40,000 sitting over here in your savings account. People are vying to get at that, and the easiest way and the fastest way to get at that is to put a lien on your house.
I just wanna know, I understand about the lien on your house, is that only if you put solar on your house? What about put yard and it's
No, I'm
like
just saying,
that?
doing anything with a contractor can sometimes set you up and leave you exposed to, or vulnerable to having liens.
So then you're looking at a mechanic's lien.
Right.
Okay, gotcha.
And that's why the homesteading would be something, your next step after you purchase too.
Yes,
And there's a whole bunch of other steps, but I'm just saying, just to keep those. But we had a question or a statement right here.
Yeah, so in other words, it's not a grant.
No, these aren't
It's not a
grants.
grant. It's just
The
your-
only forgivable loan that we have is the teachers. Our teachers is a fully forgivable loan after 5 years. Or if they wanna buy their way out of it, they can. It averages about $125 a month because it's the 75 is a flat amount. So the teachers can refinance and pay what's left. Or if they just stay in the house for 5 years, then that goes away. We subordinate that, and then they just have their first mortgage to it.
Now, this stays in second position until you sell the house. Okay, does it not fade, it don't fade away like some of them fade away after 10 years?
It used to, but because of the changes in the market and the vulnerability right now with the economy, we had to make ours unforgivable. But all that means is that the only way out of it is to refinance and then just let us pay us through the equity. Because it's not coming, so when you refinance your home to pay off your second mortgage, that basically takes the money out of the equity. So let's say you got 40,000 and we gave you 8. When you refinance, you're giving us that 8 back. But think of it this way too. The money that you give back to us gives us that money back in the pot so that we can help someone else. So you're paying it full to a certain degree.
Yeah, I'm a realtor myself. In fact, I own Vegas Property Locators. I've been doing real estate for over 20 years. And people ask me, should they buy property now? I said, yes, you should. Because I've been in the business long enough to know that there was double digits at one time. So to pay 7 or 8% for, to buy a house now, if you got an opportunity to do it, go on and do it.
Yeah.
You know, go on and do it. But what I find is that, what is the average price range of the property in which the people that qualify for your program can purchase?
People in our price points, I'm saying our average home sales, our purchases is ranging 280 to 350. So that little niche right there is a sweet spot for us. But that's not to say that there aren't people that are buying homes. There's a loan that closed on the 11th of April for 203. And then there was a loan that closed also on the 18th of April for 400. So.
Yeah, but the average price of property, I mean, the price of properties is going up. The average, I would say, is anywhere between $350 and $1,000 here in Las Vegas. So, and they going up because we have a tremendous amount of people coming in here, raising the price of the properties, and the average person cannot afford to get these properties. Now, you had mentioned something about sweat equity. The mortgage company, do you have mortgage companies that would allow a property, to finance a property that is not of the housing quality standard?
No. So, because we're not lenders, what we do is
I know.
the lenders will navigate that aspect of it. There are other types of loans out there, the 203Ks,
Yeah.
that you can't couple with ours. But the question is, let me qualify the statement. The question was, what do we see as the average purchase price for people who are using our program?
Right.
The average purchase price for people who are using the down payment assistance programs is between $280 and $3. So like $350. That's the average that are purchasing using our program. People who are purchasing outside of our program, I wouldn't have an idea of what they're doing, but I understand what you're saying, that the
I'm just talking
industry.
about what the average mortgage price of property is.
Yeah, the average mortgage prices of properties isn't something that I maintain, because I'm just focused on what we're doing with Home Responsible. But you make very good points there, I like that. Question, Mike?
And then I have a question about the second mortgage. So are you making a payment on that second mortgage that never goes away? No, okay. And then, oh, I lost it. It left me.
But to expound on that, which might trigger your thought, you're right, so with our second on there, there's no payments or interest being accrued at all.
Okay.
So whatever we gave you, so if we gave you $8,000, if we gave you $10,000, if we gave you $19,000, regardless of when you decide to refinance your home, that's the amount that you pay back. Whatever we gave you is the amount that comes back, and it comes right out of the equity.
Or when you sell it, right?
Or when you sell it.
And then, oh wait, I remembered my other question.
There's the told you
For
I'm triggered.
homesteading, if you homestead, like, let's say you got solar on your property already and then you homestead it, would that still protect you?
Yeah, that protects you up to 600, up to 605,000. And you can go to the Clark County Assessor's Office, website and investigate or research homestead. So when you go to Clark County Assessor, just type in under search field, homestead. They're gonna give you the definition of homestead, they're gonna give you the Nevada Revised Statute of homestead, and how homesteads can protect you, and up to what dollar amount homesteads protect you.
And it's pretty inexpensive to file the form. I think
It's
like
$40.
Yeah.
Because you just record it.
Yeah.
It is one
Yeah.
page, one page recording, and it's a $40 filing fee. It's so worth it.
So does the solar panel up the equity on your homes?
So yeah, anything you do to your home will increase value and add value to your home. I was just using solar as an example, but let me go ahead and just make sure that I qualify. Anything you do with a contractor at your house exposes you to a potential leak. So
It could
not
be
just solar.
solar, a pool,
Landscaping.
major landscaping, adding a garage, any
Contractor.
hire, yeah.
So
Okay.
anyone you hire to do work on your house will
Yeah.
expose you to
Thank you.
potential lien. So you make sure you want to homestead your home before you do things like that. And also just make sure that whoever you're hiring, check, because I know there's things in place with the county to make sure that those contractors are, good contractors. Question right here?
Yes, I'm hearing all the things that's happening, but I would like to, how do I set up a